the Deputy Governor of Bayelsa State, Rear Admiral John Jonah, representing His Excellency the Executive Governor of Bayelsa State, Honorable Dixon, who is unavoidably absent today because of very many official activities in Abuja. My brother, the Commissioner for Information, the Secretary to the State Government, Commissioner for Works, Bayelsa State, and other members of the State Executive Council who have worked with us in the last 2 days to make this tour a success. The National President of NUJ and other members of the National Good Governance Tour team, distinguished sons and daughters of Bayelsa State, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Let me, on behalf of the National Good Governance Tour team, express our collective happiness to be here in Bayelsa. As you know, today Bayelsa holds special significance for Nigeria because Bayelsa is the home state of your son, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, GCFR. So whenever we're in Bayelsa, the rest of the nation will be paying attention. Bayelsa State may be just slightly more than 16 years old. It is the youngest state in this region, 16 years old. And Bayelsa is different from other states because unlike some of the other states we have visited, they have had a foundation for infrastructure for decades. Bayelsa is a state that is being built literally from the rainforest without any foundation. And so you are indeed in a different terrain. If you go to rivers, you can talk of development that has lasted for as long as Nigeria. If you go to Cross River, you can talk of development that has lasted for as long as Nigeria. It is not similarly so with Bayelsa. This is a green field where development is taking off afresh. Therefore, let me begin by congratulating the Ijaw nation. The creation of Bayelsa is a statement of justice for the Ijaw people. And that is why Bayelsa is seen as a very significant territory. The Ijaw people, led by Ernest Okoli, Melford Okilo, Isaac Adaka Boro, E.C. Clark, and several other generations of fighters for the liberty of the Ijaw nation within the Nigerian Federation, for the development of the Ijaw people within the larger Nigerian Federation. You have struggled, you have fought. So this state itself is a result of that struggle for the Ijaw people. You must look back with pride in your history. Look back with pride in your history and in the struggle of your leaders. And you must look forward with confidence in your ability to conquer and overcome. I'm a historian, and I do know that the history of nations follow very different channels. There are periods of difficulties, there are also periods of rise and march forward. The Ijaw nation, the people of the Niger Delta, have come through a very difficult phase in your history. Since 1958, when the first oil well was drilled here and started exporting oil, in 1958. Between that period and 1999, the communities of the Niger Delta have made significant sacrifices for the growth and development of Nigeria. I must say, as someone that is familiar with the history of this country, that until 1999, until the advent of this democracy, Niger Delta people never had commensurate resources with the sacrifices, ecological sacrifices, ecological difficulties they have had to bear that this country may grow. It is indeed a national shame for us as a people, for us as a nation, that your young ones had to take to the street, had to take to the forest before justice came. It should never be the case. It should never be the case. In every federation, in every nation, when a people have been given the fortune of nature to contribute significantly to national development, that nation must look after them specially, that they will feel a sense of belonging. So we are here not only to look at projects, but to look at how you are recovering from decades of neglect. If this democracy makes meaning for Nigeria, it makes more meaning for the people of the Niger Delta. Because in the last 30 years of this democracy, our country has been able to respond more positively to your cries for justice, to your cries for development. It is within this context that we can acknowledge and recognize the 13% reservation that the Nigerian Federation has given the oil producing communities. This 13%, in my opinion, is the basic minimum requirement for you to recover from the centuries of ecological difficulties and the need for development. The debate will go on. We are living in a large federation, but it is my own belief that Nigeria owes this region support. It owes you the kind of support you need to recover. It is therefore also not by accident, because accidents are only known to the human imagination. It is also not by accident that within this period and now, God and the people of Nigeria have made it possible for you to produce a democratic president within this period in our history. So I see the election of your son, the election of President Goodluck Jonathan, as a parallel with the election of Barack Obama in the United States. What the Nigerian Federation has done is to acknowledge that every part of this country must be given a sense of belonging. A sense of belonging. And that power in a federation like Nigeria must rotate, must go round, so that all of us will unite as a people and forget the divisions that we inherited from colonial rule. So I believe that the rise of President Goodluck Jonathan is good for the history of Nigeria. It's good for our political health. It's good for the political health of a federation that was beginning to get worried about complaints. And I believe the rise of the president has helped to heal the wounds of the past, and that the future of this country rests on his performance to deliver, so that the whole country will come to acknowledge that yes, good leaders can come from everywhere. Having worked with your son, for nearly 3 years, I can tell you confidently that President Jonathan is one of the best things that have happened to us in this democracy. Yes, it is true that in the last 3 years, Nigeria has had the most difficult challenge in the area of security, in the area of political disagreements, and in all sorts of things. But let me tell you, this president has been able to weather this off. Not only has he been able to weather the storm, he has continued to bear a courage and calm in the history of the Ijaw people. Because for a president that has had all these difficulties in 3 years, difficulties inherited from the past, state of emergency. If you look at the railway, it was down. If you look at the Nigerian shipping line, it was down. If you look at the Nigerian airways, excuse me, understand. If you look, just leave me. If you look at the Nigerian airways, it was down. So I want to tell you that as far as my understanding, listen. And I have been a reporter. I have been around the country. The difficulties. So in the last 3 years, what has the president done? What the president has done is to say, look, I'm a new man on the block, and I cannot carry Nigeria along the same way as I saw it. I need to plan it. I need to walk it through. I need to develop programs that will be sustainable. I need to study the country. I need to see why things didn't work in the past. So the president decided to work on a program, the transformation program. After a thorough study by experts, some of the best brains in this country, the National Economy Management Team. If you look at the constitution of the National Economy Management Team, you will understand that you have a president in place that is a scholar, an intellectual, and he wants to make sure that things are done properly. Please, I need your silence. What has been the result of this planning? I can tell you today, frankly, that as a result of the thorough planning of the economy, the president is realizing results that many governments in the past did not realize. The first result is realizing, in my opinion, is that fundamentally in the next 10 years, Nigeria will be a different country. There are 3 areas the president is focusing on. The first area is governance, because governance has always been our problem. Even this good governance talk is because the president believes we must go out and engage people and see the things we are doing and discuss them properly. But he has been doing a lot of reforms. If you look at the elections in this country today, our elections are different from the ones that took place before President Goodluck Jonathan came to power. That is the truth. Whether we like it or not, that is the reality. Now, there are other reforms in the area of governance. The president believes that there must be inclusion, because when the Pronaco leader was talking about inclusion, I was listening to him. And the reason is because since the president came on board, if you notice, today the women of Nigeria are having it better than they had any time in the history of this country. President Obasanjo was the first Nigerian leader to increase significantly the participation of women in our nation's affairs. President Obasanjo started it in a significant way. President Goodluck Jonathan has taken it to a greater level now. So today, as a result of governance reforms, the president has appointed 33.3% of all appointments are women. But not just 33.3%. In the past, women were given ministries that were not central. It was tokenism. But today, the economy is being run by a woman. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Oil and gas by a woman. Aviation by a woman. Even power assisted by a woman. So when ICT by a woman, housing by a woman, and I can tell you, water resources by a woman, even defense presently by a woman. So and it is not just that it it is not just that women are in charge there, but that these women are giving us results. If you go to the airports today, you will see that Nigerian airports are different from the one this president inherited. If you move to the universities now, you will see that the Minister of Education, through the ETF, there is massive intervention for infrastructure in federal universities, in state universities, in federal polytechnics, state polytechnics, and colleges of education, at a point that we never saw in the past. Now, if you go to oil and gas, today our oil and gas industry is best run for decades because there is a lot of work being done there. The local content bill, which has been passed, has made it possible for more Nigerians to participate in the oil and gas industry. The PIP bill, which is now before the National Assembly, if it is passed into law, it will be a complete revolution in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. So all these developments are coming on board because the president believes that women should be engaged, women must participate, and they must unleash their energies for national development. Now, if we look at institutions of governance, you will notice that this president has worked more smoothly with other institutions. Today, the National Assembly has been playing its role as a National Assembly should play its role. The president continues to engage them. Institutions are more relaxed, and Nigeria is moving forward with greater confidence. Now, if you go to the area of critical infrastructure, which is what I'm coming to, the president has returned our railway to life halfway. Before the president came to power, no train was moving in Nigeria. Now the trains are moving from Lagos to Kano. By the end of this year, the trains will move from Port Harcourt to Jos to Maiduguri by the grace of God, because he is working there now. In addition to the trains, when President Yar'Adua came to power with Goodluck Jonathan, the dredging of River Niger was promised since 1953. Nothing happened. Today, the dredging of River Niger is a reality. We have completed the dredging up to Baro, and today we are talking about delivering seaports by the riverway. Onitsha is ready. Baro will be ready in April. Oguta will be ready in April. So presently, you see a president trying to address transportation strategically, railways, waterways. If you do not do that, you never can have good roads in Nigeria. Why are our roads bad? Our roads are bad because for 3 decades, nothing was moving other than on land. Every heavy equipment you carry is by road. And so the president decided, well, I will focus on the railway to deliver mass transportation. I will focus on sea transportation, river transportation. And today the president is delivering on these key areas. And these are things that are different from what we saw in the past. Now our seaports are also being revamped. We went to One. One is ready by August 4th phase. And One port in Port Harcourt is now one of the largest seaports in West Africa. By the time we finish the 4th phase and begin the 5th phase, Port Harcourt will be a destination within the Gulf of Guinea. That's exactly what the president wants to achieve. Now, coming back to other infrastructure, like I told you, we are working on 11 airports. One of the airports is located here in Bayelsa State. Today, as we came into Bayelsa, we went to monitor progress on Yenagoa Airport. The clearing is going on, and the promise, by the grace of God, is that by the end of 2014, the first plane will land here on your soil. We will want to look at the president not just as a president for the Niger Delta, but he is doing a great measure of work for the country. And in power supply, which has been our major difficulty. You remember that when the president was governor here, he started a power plant. So what he's doing at the national level is not an accident. He wanted enough power for Bayelsa. He began a power plant which unfortunately has not been completed. But if you look at the 10 new power plants the president is building, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, going on at the same time. We have inspected now 5 of those power plants. Yes, today was worried when we went to Bahrain. But I want to give Nigerians this confidence that we express concern about the progress of work at Bahrain, not because we do not believe that Bahrain will give us power. We want Bahrain to give us power before the end of the year. That is the reason why we are anxious. And I want to assure you that what I saw at Bahrain was that gas is already by that power plant. Shell has already delivered gas up to the Bahrain power plant. What is remaining are the finishing touches. And we have told Roscoe. Roscoe is the company building Bahrain. We want to make sure that they respect the deadline given to them by the Vice President of Nigeria, His Excellency Architect Namadi Sambo, who is the chairman of the NIPP Board of Governors. The Vice President has called all the 10 companies and given them the end of 2013 to hand over all those power plants and generate power for Nigeria. So far, so good. We will continue to monitor those projects and ensure that they deliver. Now, let me come to this place. Although the president is president of the whole country, he is also doing some work here in Bayelsa State, as we expect of a son of the soil. The most important thing that I believe the president has done for our people is the establishment of a university here in Bayelsa State. The university at Otoke, you will not know it now, but I believe in the next 100 and 200 years, there may be nothing as significant as that university. A federal university in Bayelsa is important for your future development. The university has taken off. We went there yesterday and we saw some very good measure of work that is being done there. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Luko, seems to be someone who is really very, very good and on the job. So the university at Otoke has taken off, but the structure we saw are not yet the structures of the university. The real university is coming on board, the planning is taking place, and the land is behind there. The structures we saw were donated by the community, and I want to commend the people of Bayelsa for donating these structures for the university to take off. Now, there are several roads. There are several roads that will be inspected in Bayelsa. The East-West Road was seen tomorrow. Now, we have other roads that the federal government is constructing. We saw some by Fama, and they are very good roads. The point to make here is the federal government is presently giving more money for roads through the SHOPI program. Bayelsa will benefit from them. The East-West Road is already benefiting. The Ministry of Niger Delta, NDDC, we are all constructing different community roads in the Niger Delta. We'll be seeing some of them even tomorrow before we leave here. The assurance I want to give you is that for a while, progress on our roads was slow because the money for those roads was inadequate. But with the beginning of the SHOPI program, more money is now going to federal roads, and I want to give the assurance not only to Bayelsa but to other states in this region that we are going to see greater activity in federal roads beginning from this dry season, as we have already started to see. The government of Bayelsa State under Dixon, and I want the whole team to understand this, the government of Bayelsa State under Dixon is virtually starting afresh. Is virtually starting afresh. As I go around Bayelsa, as I go around Yenagua, I can see that Yenagua is like one huge construction site. The number of roads under construction here, I believe they are almost close to 20 within the metropolis of the state capital. Now, what I have seen personally is that your new governor, having taken over, is planning a program for sustainable development of Bayelsa. He is building on the foundation of Lemesia by your second governor, Governor Goodluck Jonathan, and even your third governor, Governor Silva. I have seen that some of the projects that we witness are not new projects, and I want to correct an impression. I have seen a lot of continuity. For example, the hotel we went. The hotel that is being built, he didn't start it. The hotel was started by the last administration. He's continuing with it. The ring road that we're seeing is also a continuation of previous projects. There are so many projects that are going on that are not started by this government. The hospital we saw is not started by this government, but Dixon is going on with it. Now, part of the reasons we have difficulty in this country is that every governor that comes is only trying to do a new thing. I didn't see that now. What I have seen is that Governor Dixon is starting new things but building them on what he inherited. And I think that is good for your state. In addition to this, there are a lot of, we have talked about education. When we went to the primary school today, I was first disturbed when I saw the environment. But when we were taken to the primary school and we went through the new structures that the government is putting in place for a primary school, I left that place happy. I left it happy because in another 1 year, if you continue what we saw today, Bayelsa primary schools are going to be entirely different from what we have now. You are building 200 primary schools this year. 200 is an ambitious figure. But I want to press you to build them, because if you do not get primary education correct, you are just wasting your time at other levels. The most important school is the primary school. That is where the children are young. And I saw the children in class, they were very bright. They were brilliant. All the questions I asked, they gave me answers. So what we're challenging you, my brother, is that Governor Dixon must finish those 200 primary schools this year, and next year 200, next year 200. So by the time he's leaving power, we must have a new infrastructure for primary education in Bayelsa State. I was also told that the state government is also designing new secondary schools and that the models are being built. Now let me tell you, tomorrow, let's not forget that this inspection has not ended. Tomorrow we would like to visit a completed model primary school and a completed model secondary school. This will enable us to go to the images of what we are trying to achieve. But I must commend you for the effort that we saw at primary level. Now, one thing that we must not take for granted is security. Why are we talking about security? The people of the Niger Delta have seen what crisis could look like. Before 2 years ago, the Niger Delta was a region no more for violence than for development. Today, the Niger Delta is recovering from that past. Every government in this region must invest in security more than in any other thing. I say so because if insecurity becomes a way of life, you can forget about the future of the Niger Delta. The future of your people depends on peace and security. And that is why the federal government is working closely with state governments in this region to reduce incidents of insecurity. I saw the project we are doing here, which is the security center where the entire security of Bayelsa will be monitored and controlled. I commend you for that vision, and I am not surprised. I'm not surprised because the governor, I am told, is a retired police officer. And of course, the deputy governor is a retired admiral of the Nigerian Navy. So together, they should be able to fix insecurity in Bayelsa State. Let me tell you, that is the future of your people. And I want to call on the youth of the Ijaw Nation. I want to call on the youth of the Ijaw Nation. I want to call on the youth of the Ijaw Nation. What you need now is calm for the transformation of this region. You must take advantage of your son at the federal level. You must take advantage of the resources coming here through the 13%, through NDDC, through the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to develop this region. Insecurity is a threat to your future. You can see what we are suffering in other parts of the country. So this place needs calm for this project to succeed. You need calm to come out of your past so that you will march along with other Nigerians in a new nation that has a greater future for your people. I want to also commend you for developing hotels, because this place is in need of new hotels. I can see that Governor Jonathan started a Tower Hotel, a 5-star hotel. It is looking so beautiful, even in his abandoned state. I want to call on the state government that Tower Hotel should be completed, because Yenagoa is becoming a capital which has oil and gas. So with an airport, with a seaport you are hoping to develop, you need hotels to start tourism. So please, more hotels are needed from private sector and from the public sector. We have not seen agricultural projects. We are seeing them tomorrow. But the deputy governor told me that right now you have started an industry to process cassava. That is very good. This zone should not only be known for oil and gas. This zone is also the zone of rice, zone of cassava, zone of fish, zone of so many agricultural products. I believe a comprehensive agricultural policy is already in place. Tomorrow we are going to see what the state government is doing to realize that dream. Over and above all things else, what we want to commend you for is that we have seen greater peace and security in Yenagoa. This place is looking calm. We want to commend you for that. And as we work harder, I believe the future of this state is very, very bright. Very, very, very bright. You have to work hard to ensure that the Ijaw nation, which now has Bayelsa exclusively to run, will demonstrate to the rest of Nigeria that the struggle of your forefathers was not in vain. So you must do it, and you must succeed in this job. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, let me also commend the First Lady, because I've seen a deficiency and I want to mention it. That deficiency is in the area of environmental sanitation and planting of trees. I mentioned it to the SSG and to the Deputy Governor. The first sign of seriousness is environmental sanitation. You must clean up, and you must make sure that Bayelsa State is the cleanest state in Nigeria. If you achieve that alone, it will cause you a lot of advantages in the area of health and development. But I want to commend the First Lady of the Federal Republic. I saw some trees along the streets of Yenagoa, because I went to some area there were no trees. And when I asked, how come you have trees in this area and other roads and other areas have no trees? I was told that when Her Excellency Dame Dr. Patience Goodluck Jonathan was First Lady here, she took up the project of tree planting as a pet project. Today, as we drive through, we are seeing that the areas where she planted trees are looking different. They are looking healthier. They are looking more beautiful. Please, this project she started, I am urging the state government to continue with it. You must plant trees as a policy. Trees in schools, trees in the streets, trees in the university, trees in all the other places. Because Bayelsa is in the rainforest. When we come into your city, we want to come onto a shade that will make people think better. That is the only area I want to point out. You are just starting. 1 year is a short period to judge any government. 1 year is too short to judge any government. But I can see that all the starting blocks have been laid. And I can see Governor Dixon is moving forward. Please take off, and the sky is your limit. I thank you, and God bless the people of Bayelsa.